Morning YouTube, how are we doing? Cueball in the shed. Bench is already full with stuff that we're going to use. I was going to do some stuff with the grinder and the vice, but the bike needs a oil change today, so get yourself a filter, some oil, bike set up in the background, got the drainer, got my sockets ready and the oil ready to go in. Cup of coffee, cheers all. So let's get cracking with the oil change. Right folks, first job to do. Right folks, I don't know if you can quite see me, and I'll try and get you a bit of light. This is your sump nut. Hopefully you can see that. What I'll do, I'll get the camera in a position. I'll leave it there for now. I'll run the bike for a minute. You run it for 2 or 3 if you want to. I did have my socket just 17mm, I think. Right, I've got a 17mm socket. Don't forget, because you're upside down, it's the opposite. So this will be clockwise to undo. It's upside down. Just make sure you got that right first. So anti-clockwise, clockwise. Just set that up. Clockwise to undo. Make sure you got your oil tray ready. It's a bit tight. Right, we're back again now, just making sure the bike's in gear and actually on the paddock stand, it's moving a little bit. So anyway, back here now, clockwise to undo. Anti. There we go, let's loosen that up. Should be able to undo that with my hand now. Typical. If you missed that bit, I just undone the nut. Apologise for that. See it better from that angle maybe. That's your oil draining. Right. I can see better from there maybe. Let that drain for about 5 minutes and then do the oil filter. Alright, the next job is getting to the filter while that's still draining. I've just got to get this little nut off here. That'll do it, I think. Say 8mm. Just so we've got access to the fairing, to the oil filter, sorry. Anti-clockwise to undo. Ouch. Right, that's come undone now. With the nut, put the nut in the safe place. In this instance, I'm just going to leave it in the socket, up to one side. And there we've got, see there, let's get the torch in. Now got access to the oil filter. Without removing that, you cannot get to that. Last time I had to take that off as well, so I'm going to undo that as well while I'm here. Need an Allen key for that. that bolt there that holds the exhaust. I'm just going to get that out. Washers on it. Same again, I'm just going to put that to one side with the Allen thing so we don't lose it. That's been removed now. That should just come away. It just gives you a bit more space so you can get to that filter and get it out. The oil's still slightly draining. I'm going to try and get that oil filter out now. So, let's see what size that is. 8 to 17, same. Need a bit of an extension on this to get into that. Yeah, it's the same. So, same again. Clockwise to undo it. It's set to anti-clockwise when you put it underneath anyway. It'll be clockwise because it was upside down. I'm just going to undo this nut now. Bring you back in once I've loosened it up. Clockwise. There we go, that's loosened that up. There's oil dripping out of that now, so I'm going to bring the tray in. So you've still got the oil neck draining, plus whatever's coming out the oil filter. Let's see if we can undo that with my hand. Yep. Do it with your hand. Just make sure that the oil's being caught. It's get a bit messy, this is. Some rags handy. There it comes. That's a bit come out first time this time. We can just get that out. Let the oil drain. Dripping out then can just drop into that tray. So the oil filter's out. I'm just going to get some rags and clean all this up and get a new pair of gloves, I think. Right, if this is still recording, which it is, put some rags here, look, that's your filter. I don't undo that yet because I want to make sure all the rubbers go back in correctly. So I'm just going to put a rag underneath there. Let any oil drain out of that. Rags just to clean up the mess. It's going to give me fair in a wipe as well while I'm out, there's all oil in there. Look. Oil dripping everywhere. And on the exhaust, that'll probably smoke that well when I fire it up. Just give your oil casing wipe as well if you get opportunity. Obviously that's still draining. get back to that in a minute. I think the first job we're going to do is rebuild that filter. So just make sure there's no oil going in there. Plenty of rags about. Just going to get the new filter. It's a new filter, or whichever one you like. Comes that way, so I'm guessing it goes in that way. Rubbers, which way the rubbers come out, put them back in the same way. So what we'll do, we'll get them out of the backer. Two rubber seals. Let's get this up. Down. Right, here's the old filter. If you don't know which way it goes back in, just take a photo of it beforehand so you can remember. Just going to wipe all this excess oil off. That goes back in that way. Clean it off. Plenty of rags, spare gloves. So that came out that way, so I'm going to put that on the floor that way. I'll wipe this filter up. Like so. Clean this off. There's a little spring underneath that has to stay there. Stopping the oil getting out. It might go on the top, I'm not sure. I'm going to put it in there. Put it down by the spring. That goes back in like that. New one, like so, and then that goes back on the top. Easy as that. Yeah, so that comes out. There's your old one, and there's your new one. Fits into the groove, like so. Should do it. Right, that's fitted nicely now. And back it goes in. So, anti-clockwise to tighten it up. To find the thread now, anti-clockwise to tighten it up. Should be tight now. Use a socket now just to tighten it up. Don't want to over tighten it. Wrist tight should do it. Just tighten it off. I'd say that was more than tight enough. If you get any leaks, snip it up. You're going to get some excess oil. You'll get that. Let's give it a wipe. It's tight. Clockwise to make sure it's tight. Yeah, now it's time to put the sump nut back in. Leaks, let's change. Just gotta find the nut now. Right, I've got the sump nut. Just give that lens a wipe. Apologise if... Right, we've got the sump nut. 17mm to put it back in. Anti-clockwise to tighten it up. Oil out of the way. And while we're here, if you are going to put the sump nut back in, buy a new one and a washer. I'm putting it back in. Looks alright, there's no damage to the thread, but I would advise to buy a new one and replace the washer. That's going to go back in now. Anti-clockwise to tighten it up. Anti-clockwise to tighten her up. A little point where it gets tight. You don't want to over tighten it. So just snip it up with your fingers. My best suggestion is, if I can just get you there like that, your weakest hand, use a spanner in this instance and just finger tight. No more than that. That's more than enough, because otherwise you'll round the thread off. And this casting is alley casting, and if you round it off, it's very hard to rethread that. Or in this instance, sometimes you have to buy a new one. Yeah, so, and if you do get any leaks, you just snip it up. All done. So I'm just going to get a wipe. And the camera is covered in oil. Right, next job. This camera work is to top the oil up. Just make sure this lens is clean. So first you've got to take your oil cap off, which I think we all know where our oil cap is. So I'm just going to take that off. Anti-clockwise to undo that. That comes undone like so. Put that somewhere safe. There's a little rubber that comes with it as well. It just sits in the thing so you don't lose that. And then the next job, whatever funnel you want to use, put it in the thing like so. Whatever oil choice you want to use. Under the cap. Get yourself a measuring jug. 3.5 litres in this case. it up, jug into there, let the oil drop in, and then just keep an eye on the glass eye while you're doing it. So I'm going to bring you in while I'm topping it up. Right folks, as you can see the glass eye is nearly full now. I'm just going to top it up. And that's full to the top now. Now I'm going to run the bike. Put your cap back on as well. Clockwise, tighten that up, finger tight. That's on now. Let's get this camera working. It's tightened now. I'll have a look underneath. Make sure there's no leaks. There's your oil nut. Let's get the torch. You can quite see that. And your filter. We'll run the bike now. Right, now when you first put your bike on, you'll have your oil light, so you're looking for that to go off when the bike's running. It's gone off now. Fine. That should be looking for that to come back on. Yep, that light's come back on. Just test it a few times. It's gone. Come back on. Yep. But if that stays on when you're running your bike, switch your bike off. It means you've got a problem. But in this case, perfect oil change. The next job is, when you've done, just to keep an eye on your glass eye, just to make sure that fills back to the top, and just top up where need after you've run it a few times, just to make sure the level's correct. And also, obviously, if you're working on this bike, don't forget to put this back on and the bolt back on for the exhaust, which I'm not going to show you because I've already showed you taking it off. And I'll leave it there. Thanks for watching how to do an oil change on your Japanese motorcycle. Catch you next time.